All right, this is going to be another great Equipment Zone training webinar. I am seriously excited. I've got my good friend Roy Huseman, who is an amazing trainer. I'm not just hyping that up. People know, Roy, that you're kind of a big deal. Grateful for your time and your talent. Today's session is really everything about Garment Creator 2. We're gonna dive in, and when I say we, I mean Roy. Roy is going to take you through a guided tour of Garment Creator 2 software. Specifically for light garments while DTG printing on your Epson DTG printer. Now, I'm not sure how specific he's going to be with like the Epson F2270, but those are the two pieces of the puzzle that go hand in hand and go together. So this is all about Garment Creator 2.0 software when printing on light garments. And that's really the focus. The focus is on optimizing your settings. The focus is on dialing things in. Roy, you probably are one of the 3 or 4 humans on the planet that knows the most about this software. So for our audience, you're in a treat. You're up for a good time of training and learning and absorbing. And I can't wait to turn it over to you for this deep dive of all of the important settings, how to eliminate errors, increasing your productivity, maximizing the efficiency, and really getting things set up for Garment Creator 2 while printing light garments for DTG printing. So Roy, that's my intro. Welcome everybody who's tuned in today. Thrilled that you're here. And of course, we will be posting this on YouTube. So if you're watching later on, that's fabulous too. We still are excited that you're watching. So turning it over to you, Roy, we're going to go for about 30, maybe 35 minutes. And I'll be watching. Obviously, you are too. We'll watch the chat. If you have a question specific to the content that Roy is talking about right now, that's what we would like you to question. If you'd like to know about the weather, that is not the question we would like to answer, although it's beautiful here in Arizona. All right, Roy, take it away, my friend.
All right. Thanks for the intro, Jay. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone attending. What I wanted to do is first cover, we do have quite a few videos out on our YouTube channel. One specific video would be pre-treating and going over different types of pre-treating and things of that nature. We did a light garment, dark garment. That's a very helpful video when it comes to discoloration due to pre-treat. Part of the thing with printing on light garments is whether or not we should pre-treat. Certain circumstances that we would want to pre-treat. So we'll cover those. There's also another video in reference to Garment Creator, which is an overview. Now, the difference between the F2100 and the F2270 is resolution and speed of the printer. But as far as the dynamics on how the machines work, they're pretty similar. So if you wanted to look at the overview, it goes through all the buttons and what they do. And the buttons are pretty similar between Garment Creator 1 and 2. Okay, so we're not going to cover all that today. So basically, we're going to get into number one, should I pre-treat or not? What are the circumstances that I would want to pre-treat right out of the gate? Number one is if I'm going to print on a sweatshirt, okay? I do want to pre-treat any garment that's going to be thick. That garment's going to absorb a lot more ink, okay? Getting back to what pre-treat does, it does two things. It creates a bond with the ink in the fabric, and it's also creating a barrier to keep the ink on the surface of the fabric so it doesn't absorb. If I have absorption and I have a very thick fabric, it's going to absorb more ink further down into the fabric, causing it to lighten up after a wash. By the way, this is a post-washed garment here too. So just to show you when I'm pre-treating whether or not, if I wash it after the fact, and what settings I want to use to optimize that. Okay, so when you're printing on light garments, it's all about how much ink you're going to put down on the fabric. So we'll get into that without wasting any time. So we're going to go ahead and go through the basic settings for Garment Creator as far as different things that you can change within the actual settings. So we have our typical light colored t-shirt standard, and then we're going to just go through the settings here. We have our different levels. it defaults to level 2. Now, is level 2 in the 2270 the same as level 2 in the 2100? No, it's not. Number one, it puts a bigger droplet of ink, as you can see, of 600 by 600, but it's only doing 2 passes. Now, what does passes mean? That's how many drops it's going to put down to create density. So is 2 passes enough on level 2 to get a good quality shirt if I don't pre-treat? No, it's not. I'm going to have to put more ink down if I'm going to do 2 passes. Okay, so you can increase it to 4 passes, and basically level 2 default for Garment Creator on the Epson F2100 is a total of 4 passes, but it's putting down a droplet that's 720 by 720. The larger the number, the smaller the droplet of ink is, by the way. So just keep that in mind. And we're putting down a 2-dimensional droplet. So it is going to be the width times the length, and that's going to come out as a perfectly round drop of ink. And I would say it would be like a pancake coming down to the fabric. If I add ink density, I make the pancake thicker. If I decrease density, then I make it thinner. Okay, so 4 passes is going to be 4 pancakes drop down in the same spot to create that density. Okay, so as I go through all this stuff, just pay attention to the DPI, how many passes, and that's going to help you. If you need to add more ink density, I prefer adding it by passes first to see if I can achieve what I want rather than making it thicker. Because if the droplet is thicker and you're not using pre-treat, then it's going to absorb further into the fabric. Okay. If you wait for passes, it's actually dropping a drop, letting it sit for a moment to start drying, and then come back and put another drop on top. So there's a little bit of delay there to allow them to start setting up. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to go through some different settings that I had done. So typically, if I'm not going to pre-treat, what would be my minimum settings that I'd want to use to start out? Well, if I'm just going to use a straight one shot through the printer, it would be level 3, and it would be adding at least 40% more ink density. Okay, that would be my normal starting point if I just want to do one pass through the printer. Okay, or I can just go straight to level 4. But if I do level 3 with 40% more ink density, that's going to give me a faster print time, as well as giving a little bit more density than if I just went straight to level 4. Okay, level 4 is a 1200 by 600 DPI, so more of an egg-shaped droplet of ink or an elliptical, and it's going to do 10 passes. If I do level 3, it is 1200 by 600, 4 passes. So you can see the difference there. It's going to, every time I do passes, it's going to increase my print time. Okay, just keep that in mind. All right, so those are the couple key items to be thinking about there. As far as your advanced options, the difference between a bidirectional and unidirectional is when the printer is doing passes, it's going to do passes in both directions when I'm bidirectional. And in unidirectional, it's going to do one direction only, like an old typewriter. It's going to go left to right, stop, come back, go left to right, stop, come back. With that happening, it allows for a slight drying time in between passes. It also allows for, if I have a dimensional product and I want to make sure I get a good sharp image because the product isn't laying flat, there's a pocket on there or something of that nature. I'm printing on a shoe, a hat, something of that nature, then I want to use a unidirectional mode. Okay, that way I get a better, sharper print as well. Okay, then you have your print options. You have your double strike print option. Okay, and then you have your ink blot reduction print option. Okay, now ink blot reduction is if I am going to have an issue with blotting, which we talked about. If I don't use pre-treat, the ink is going to blot into the fabric, absorb, expand. As it does that, it may have some issues where darker areas are going to expand underneath lighter areas and give me a blotting. I will have some examples I'm going to show you when it comes to that. We have a level 1 and we have a level 2 in Garment Creator 2. On the original Garment Creator, we only have a level, well, it doesn't even show a level 1 or 2. It's going to print as if level 2 was initiated, which is printing the yellow first and then come back with all the other colors. Level 1, what that does is slow down the print speed a little bit, allowing for a little bit of drying time. I can also add to that drying time just by using a unidirectional print mode in conjunction with level 1, and that will give me a better result than just using level 1 if I need just that little bit more to get rid of any type of blotting. Okay, so just something to keep in mind there. And then as far as the double strike, what does that do? That's going to go through the printer 2 times. Okay, so basically I'm going to print the image, and then it's going to wait based on the amount of drying time I put, which you do need to incorporate drying time to allow that ink to set up. That way, when I apply the second coat of ink, it's going to sit on top of the first if I allow it to somewhat dry. Okay, and that's going to give me a much darker, more dense image. And the key is if I'm not pre-treating, I need to be able to put enough ink on the fabric to withstand washes. Okay, so the sweatshirt behind me that I did show you has been washed, so it still has the vibrancy. Now sweatshirts, any type of thick garments, because the absorption, I will go back and mention again, you do need to pre-treat those. So as far as t-shirts and things of that nature, you can add more density just by applying more ink. So typically I start out with a 30-second drying time. You can increase that if you'd like, but if you do, it increases your production time. So 30 seconds is usually good enough. As far as ink density, again, I'm not one to just throw ink density right at the print mode because I prefer to just add passes instead. It does slow down the print time, but ultimately it gives a little bit of drying between each pass, and that gives me a little bit more density overall. That's going to withstand washes a little bit better sometimes than just adding ink density to the specific drops. Okay. The other thing down here is if I want to enhance my colors. These controls are similar to your TV controls. There are some basic controls that Epson gives you if you're looking at the screen here. Level 1 is going to push all my dark colors to the black spectrum and make black blacker. Okay. As I go up to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, it reverses and starts focusing on my highlights. So right here where the chin is, on the mouth, below the mouth, I'm going to lose detail in that area as I go up to 5 versus increase some of the detail there, but then it may be too dark if I use just a level 1. So you can see how drastic that changes. Okay, so it does put a contrast of 40 in here. It puts a brightness at -40. The only thing that changes is the brightness. Goes on 1, -40, 2 is -20, 3 is 0, 4 is +20, and 5 is +40. So you'll see that as we go through. Okay, so now we go, and this still, it makes all my other colors a lot more vibrant. So if you had just a few colors in your job and you want to make the colors more vibrant, you can easily achieve that by using one of these settings. Is it something that I use every day? No, but I do use it a lot, and I will use it just maybe just a little tiny bit to nudge it over the edge in giving me some more vibrant colors. Okay, you can see level 3 there. Okay, now focus on the mouth and the face here. As I go up to 4 and 5, you're going to see that I start to lose a little bit of detail there, and ultimately up to 5, you see that blue coming down just gets smaller and smaller. and then the dots in the face as well. So typically is a 5 a good number, or a 1, those are kind of extremes. So 2, 3, 4 would be the standard, or again, you can easily go in and customize. So if I want to go back to reset just to see my basic image, and I can do something subtle like a -5 or a +5 on the other end, okay, to give me something that's not as dramatic, but it makes a little bit of a difference. Or I can go 10 or even 20 if I don't want to go too far. And I could even go, I would say, up to 10, or it could be a -10 +10 kind of scenario. So that kind of shows you that I get that little bit of a push in the brightness of the colors. So that does help a lot sometimes when you're trying to get something to pop off the garment. Okay. So ultimately at this point, I'm going to go ahead and share some images with you. So I'm going to go back, share again. Excuse all these images that I have here. All right. So the first thing is what blotting is going to be, okay, and what it's going to look like. So if I look at this specific one, this would be an extreme of what blotting looks like. If you look around the mouth, you can see the ink bleeding into the garment. If you look around the tongue, same thing. And around the top of the head where the black intersects the yellow.
Hey, Roy, the image didn't show. We can see the little image, the thumbnails, but we can't see the full-size image yet.
Oh, you can't?
No, we could see
Oh, okay.
the little bee, but we couldn't see the whole
Maybe
thing.
it's not doing it the way I'd like it to do it. So let me unshare here and go with my screen. All right. So now you can see Garment Creator in the background and everything.
Yes, that's correct. We can see Garment Creator in the background.
So now we'll go back to this image.
And the thumbnails are on top. Yep, perfect.
Okay. So you see the image now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So if you're looking around the mouth, you can see that there's a little bit of ink that bleeds into the garment. It usually follows the direction of the weave, just FYI. So that would be one of the items there to look at. Okay. So, and then if we went to, this one isn't quite as bad. Okay, so you can see there is a little bit. The yellow looks a little better. And then we have, if we were to implement ink blot reduction and print the yellow first, this is what's going to happen on the first pass. And then I wait for the 30 seconds for the yellow to dry, and that creates a barrier to keep the other ink from flooding into the fabric when that yellow dries. Okay, and then when the second pass happens, you can see here that it's getting rid of all that blotting. Okay. And then this one here is an ink blot reduction using the L1 and using unidirectional. So this is going to go through the printer one time, and it allows to pretty much almost take care of that issue. So a lot of borderline issues with blotting, the L1 will work, which is the ink blot reduction. If I go back to this screen here, that would be level 1. And then adding the unidirectional is going to give me a one pass. It just slows the printer down. And then I was able to achieve a better print by doing so. Okay. Then we have Um, so ink blot reduction, these are just close up prints. So you can kind of see the difference there. Okay. Cool. And then here is a print. If I were just to print in level 2, which is the 600 by 600 2 passes, you could see a slight. But the thing is with the level 2, as I mentioned, if I'm not pre-treating, it's not enough ink doing 2 passes on the F30 or 2270. So definitely wouldn't be something I'd want to do. Now we do have in Garment Creator, we have the ability to do the double strikes. Now the double strikes are probably the most used setting and the easiest to just implement within the software and save some basic settings. And I'll show you how to do that too. So if it's something you want to use all the time, we can create a default and have that appear up here on my presets. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay. So here is an example of okay, so when I do a double strike, it's going to do 2 passes of ink. Okay, so this is my first pass of ink. So it's printing at 600 by 600. So I'm not using level 2. I'm doing the 4 passes. I'm doing a double strike print, and I'm doing a 30-second drying time. So you can see that my colors look pretty good on that. Okay, this is actually the first pass only. So then as soon as I do the first pass, then I can go ahead and come back and do my second pass, which is going to be this one. So this is the same print. It's after it came back the second time and added the second pass of ink. So you see how much that density increased by doing that. Okay. Now the key is what is this going to look like after I wash it? Okay. That's the key. Okay. So this is the one that we just did, or actually this one was a level 3 double strike that I minus, instead of doing the level 2 with the 600 and going to that, I did a level 3 minus 15% on the color ink density to reduce my droplet. Still a 30-second drying time, and this is what it looks like after washing. Okay, so I will show you what that looks like before washing in just a second. Level 3 double strike. There it is. So this is the one before washing. Okay, so it looks pretty much about the same. It didn't change too much. Okay, it did get slightly lighter. And I can go back to that. So that was the after washing there. Okay. And then we can also do the other one is what I did. So this is first pass, second pass. Okay, here is the second pass after washing. Okay, this is the one that we were looking at before, doing the 600 by 600. So you could see after washing, even doing the 600 by 600 4 passes, it is slightly a little lighter. So typically I like to use level 3 a lot of the times and just reduce the ink density just slightly. versus doing the level 2 or even going to the 4 pass even on that. Okay. Then we have the level 3 where we added some of the color settings in there. Okay. So this would be the level 3 double strike minus 15% ink density and 30-second drying time, a striking of 3, which gives us a little bit more vibrant print, makes my black appear blacker. Okay, so there's that print. And then there is that one after I washed it, which is right here. Okay. So you can see it did hold the density. If I'm just putting dark type on something, you know, I can typically get something that's going to hold up just without even pre-treating and running a setting similar to what we're doing right now. Okay. And then here is a same settings that we did, okay, on a t-shirt and then on a sweatshirt before and after washes. Okay, so here is a t-shirt that I printed before the wash. Okay, so that's what it looked like on the t-shirt before the wash. And then after I washed it, it's still pretty much holding the density. Now this is a pre-treated shirt again, so you know there's not a ton of difference between pre-treating and not pre-treating on that. The other thing is on white shirts or very light shirts, there could be discoloration due to chemical reactions and UV exposure if the customer doesn't wash the product. So a lot of times when it comes to a white shirt, it might be easier to just not pre-treat it and just add more ink. So this is the sweatshirt before the wash. Right there. And then a sweatshirt after the wash. You can stand, this is the sweatshirt that I had right behind me. So still has some vibrant color in it, looks really good, and it's going to hold up for my customers and I'm not going to get any complaints. So now we can get back to Garment Creator and show you how to set up some of the settings here. So that one is the level 3 that I did. Okay, so we're going back to level 3. Okay, it was a standard bidirectional mode. We did a double strike. I added a drying time, 30 seconds. Color ink density, being that I'm putting more ink down, I can actually reduce the amount of ink that I'm putting down. And I went ahead and did a level 3 strike on it to give me a little bit more vibrancy. Now, is this a setting that I'd want to save with the color settings? No, because it could create issues with certain color images. So typically if I wanted to save this, I would just change that back to 0 and then hit the plus here. And then I can do a light color garment level 3 minus 15 color and do a double strike. Okay. Or I could do something like this if I wanted to abbreviate it that way, and I can click OK, and now it appears on my setting up here. The other setting that we talked about is using the starting with the level 2, increasing the passes to 4 passes and doing the double strike. I'm not going to reduce my ink here. I'm going to leave it at 0, 30-second time. Okay, so I could call that a level 2 double strike if I wanted to, or whatever you wanted to call it, but I can go ahead and do the same thing and add that in. So basically that just goes over the settings within Garment Creator for light colored garment printing. And I guess if there's any questions or anything that we want to field, we can go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, Roy, let's take a couple of the questions. Could you, since you have the line up, could you share the price so we could see maybe where would we be with ink costs, et cetera?
Okay, so if we're doing this level 3 double strike, it's almost a full platinum on the lion there. I can go ahead and do my cost analysis. So I did do pre-treat, and I don't have a t-shirt, it's a sweatshirt. I'm just going to do it based on the pre-treat and the ink cost, or we could just focus on the ink cost, which is the most important. And that's the thing that's going to change as I change my settings
Right.
within Garment Creator.
And can you share your screen so we can see it?
Oh, sorry about that.
And then I'll ask you again what Danny had a great question. I'll ask you next.
So this is 70 cents worth of ink for that image. Okay.
Wow, that's impressive. So repeat that one more time. Did you say 70 cents?
Yep, 70 cents for that image.
Imagine that. Love it. Okay, that's awesome, Roy. Thank you. Danny had a great question too. I'd like to, if you don't mind, he was talking about kind of in general practice. And I know this is a tough question to ask you because there are so many variables, but in general, would you suggest using pre-treat on all prints, regardless of the color of the shirt?
Me personally, I wouldn't pre-treat everything. No, not when it comes to like garment printing. Keep in mind, and this is why I mentioned this before, that we have pre-treat videos. There's three kinds of pre-treat. There is a light garment pre-treat that is used when you're using light garment mode. And then there's a dark garment pre-treat when you're putting white ink down first. The color of the shirt is not reflective of what pre-treat you should choose. It is based on your print mode. There is also a third pre-treat, which is a universal. Universals kind of cover both spectrums. Does it do as good of a job on both ends of the spectrum? I don't think so. And I wouldn't use a universal myself, but some people like them. So it's to each his own on the pre-treat, as we mentioned in our videos before. But if you are printing in light mode, you do want a light pre-treat because it holds the color inks on the surface of the fabric, and that's what the focus is. And the dark pre-treat focuses on the white ink. The makeup between the two inks are different, so it does require a slightly different chemical makeup to optimize the pre-treat for a specific setting.
Excellent.
If that answers your question.
Yep, it does answer the question. Thank you, Roy. I think it is a personal a question and a personal outcome. So we have lots of clients that are in all of the various camps, and Roy does a phenomenal job of being patient. Because truth be told, Roy, you might have your personal favorite or your experience that shows through, but others, you know, they can do what they want to do, and if they're achieving the results that they like, that their customers like, then it's a plus, it's a win.
Yeah.
So
now there's also a mention on level 5 on the pre-treat. The sweatshirt, I did put a little bit, just a hair over 5, but the t-shirt, I was under 5. I was at 4.5.
and when you
So
say that setting, Roy, are you talking about when using a Speed Treater TX, the setting of
yes,
5? Okay.
that's correct. So 5 on the dial is for dark garments. That's a starting point. For light garments, you're going to start somewhere around 3, 3.5 and move up from there. So depending on how much pre-treat you want to put down on the fabric, depending on the fabric. You always look at your fabric as the type of weave. If it's smooth, you put less pre-treat. If it's very coarse and open like a cotton core or a very open weave like a sweatshirt, then ultimately I'm going to apply more pre-treat according to my fabric and weave. Okay.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, Danny makes the comment that many have before Roy. Roy, we need you to stand in our print shops and guide us by the second on every shirt we do. So great comment, Danny. Not
All
the
right.
first time and won't be the last. Roy, it's a tribute to your, your deep dives. And also I want to give a shout out to all of our techs at Equipment Zone. This is a combination of experience, but also testing in the moment daily, weekly. I can see Roy and John all the time here in Arizona practicing on different materials, different shirts, different manufacturers are testing different weaves, and they'll often send it to us to practice on, to see, what we find out, and to go through the experiment and to go through the processes of, one pass, two pass, unidirectional, bidirectional, a little pre-treat, a lot of pre-treat, so that it's something that's current. And so it's a tip of my cap to you, Roy, and to the rest of the techs that continue to stay current and continue to test. I think that's a big takeaway for all of us, is that while these settings are overviews and the suggestions are really important, and I think that seeing you go through the settings for optimizing Garment Creator 2 on light garments has been magical. It's also really important that you test it on your own and take some time to, lay that out, and even do a print of the same print, and do, various garments, so that people can see what looks different on a tan colored t-shirt than a white colored t-shirt. Or, this has been washed 5 times. Can you see a small degradation of maybe a combination of the cotton opening up and a little bit of the ink loss? If you set those expectations with people, then they're never surprised. And then you can deliver a high quality garment. And I think that that's what most people are, why they tuned in today, is to figure out the system, Roy. And thank you for guiding us through that system. Before I share any slides, Roy, is there anything else you'd like to summarize or wrap up?
Nope, I just emphasize what you said before as far as continual testing. We do have knowledge. We've been around for a long time doing the same things, but the biggest thing takeaway is our testing is what we wear every day. So, I mean, during the week, I'm wearing shirts that I've printed just to see how they're going to perform in the wash. The stuff that I did wash wasn't turned inside out. It was just thrown in there and washed on a normal cycle for that type of product. So even the dark garment, same thing. Don't change anything because it's typical. Your customers aren't going to follow directions and turn something inside and out and wash in gentle
Right.
and do all this stuff. So anyway,
Yes.
thank you for your time, and I'll
Yeah.
allow Jay to take over and go
Thank
through
you.
the final
No,
things
Roy,
here.
thank you for your time. Obviously, we are lucky to have you on staff, and we're grateful for your time and your energy in the deep dive. Being our expert go-to technician is awesome for us and for our customer base. So this, ladies and gentlemen, was the first of the 3 live webinars that we're doing. Yes, I am recording these. We will be posting them on our YouTube channel. Today was about light garments. The next one, a week from today, will be about dark garments. And then the final of live webinars will be about DTF, direct to film transfers. So today again was about light garments. Then we're going to go to dark garments. Then we're going to go to transfers. I do want to share the fact that people can join, subscribe, watch all of our YouTube videos. Roy and I have been doing videos together with the rest of the staff for the better part of 5 years now. And some of those oldies but goodies are very valuable, very insightful. And we will be adding this to that lineup. And so, Roy, we're well over 150 videos now on different techniques, different settings, different, pre-treatments, and all of the DTG and direct-to-film transfer videos that we've done over the course of the last several years. We're well over 150 specific for DTG and DTF printers. So please join us, subscribe, and we're not doing the old cliche, smash that button. And it's just,
Yeah.
we just want you to know there's a great resource of tools here. We're trying to be, I'd say, good stewards of the process.
What
Nothing
I
is more. Oh, go
what
ahead.
I
Sorry, Roy. What were you
yeah,
going to
what
say?
I would mention though, if you're looking at the screen there, you see a little magnifying glass there next to community.
Right here.
That allows you to scan within the Equipment Zone's video catalog of specific videos. So if you want anything pertaining to Pretreat or the Speed Treater or Garment Creator in general, just type in those keywords and go ahead and do a search, and those videos will pop up. Jay does a great job also of doing a lot of marketing videos and looking at different manufacturers for garments and things of that nature. So there is a ton of videos in there, even beyond training videos.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate that. Also, if you are stuck, nothing tears us up more, honestly, that gives us more anguish and anxiety is when we hear people who purchased an F2100 or an F2270 and they say, oh, it never worked, or this printer doesn't work. And we have thousands, literally thousands of customers that are doing quite well. Thank you. Their printers are rocking and a rolling. And that's a tribute to, I would say, our advantage, our team, our training, and our support. And so even if you did not purchase your printer from us, it does create so much anxiety for us to hear those things that we would prefer that you just call us. Actually start with our website. That would be step one. Start with our website, fill out a tech support ticket. It won't cost you anything. We'll put you in the queue. It could be any time from, within a couple of hours to at max a couple of days. Usually it's the same day or the next day. But, we do have a busy tech department, as Roy will often tell you. And so this is a great way for you to get a little help, even if you didn't purchase the printer from us, which might have been a mistake, but that's just me in marketing saying that. So we appreciate you no matter where you started from, and your pathway hopefully will intersect with us, and then we can earn your business moving forward. And then, of course, if you do have questions, somebody in the chat asked about the F2270 and the pricing and so forth, you're welcome to reach out to Terry or Amy. Both of them are very qualified. They're also less salesy and more about the fit, more about answering your questions and figuring out ways that your business can grow. So that's all I've got for today, my friends. It's been a fabulous training. It's been Roy's show. Love it. And the processes and the optimization and all of these things. This is a video you're probably going to watch once or twice and then share with your operator and your art departments to make sure that they understand. So for now, Roy Huseman, Jay Bassell, we're signing off. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you in a week. And we'll talk about the dark garments and optimizing Garment Creator 2 for dark garments and DTG printing. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Take care.